Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on arguably one of the most idiotic bills ever proposed in South Africa. Now what am I talking about? Well, before we get there, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. You can do so by clicking the subscribe button below. The overwhelming majority of you that watch my content aren't subscribed, so you can fix that by just subscribing. It'll be greatly appreciated. Alright, so the bill that I'm talking about is the Firearms Control Amendment Bill of 2025. Where the government wants to make it almost impossible for you to get a firearm for self-defense. Now, please understand that South Africa isn't really a gun-crazy nation. We just want to protect ourselves. And the government is coming with this bill knowing that we are one of the most violent countries in the world. We've got 84 murders a day. A violent sexual crime taking place every few seconds in this country, and the government wants to take guns away from law-abiding citizens, or they want to make it nearly impossible for people to get access to firearms. And if you look at the South African police service in this country, we have roughly 170,000 police officers that need to look after 64 million people. Now, that works out to roughly 800 people per police officer. Now, we know that that is never ever going to work. But the government is continuing down this path because in 2021, they also brought a similar bill, almost word for word, exactly the same as the one from 2025. And in 2021, people said, get out of here. That's not going to work. And through a lot of pressure, the government backtracked. And as we can see now, they gave it 4 years, and now they are back with an identical document wanting to remove firearms from law-abiding citizens. Now, I've done a lot of research. I've submitted a lot of information specifically to get both sides of the argument, and I have summarized it as follows. So over here, I'm going to show you both sides of the argument just for neutrality, but you'll clearly see which side is right and which side is wrong. I'm going to just touch on some of these aspects. I'm not going to read all of this out. The South African government's rationale for the Firearms Control Amendment Bill, as outlined in official Gazette policy documents from the blah, 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 is rooted in addressing the country's severe gun violence crisis and systemic failures in firearm regulation. South Africa has one of the world's highest murder rates, with firearms involved in approximately 60% of homicides. This is according to SAPS crime stats. The bill builds on the original Firearms Control Act of 2000, which aimed to reduce firearms in circulation but has been undermined by poor implementation, corruption, and a backlog of over 3 million expired licenses. Proponents, including the CSPS and Gun Free South Africa, yeah, please help them, a key advocacy partner, emphasizes that the amendments and are evidence-based, drawing from the 2015 Firearms Review and the 2020-25 SAPS strategic plan. These highlight how legal firearms often leak into criminal hands via theft, lost renewals, or lax oversight. For example, the 25 Prince Louis scandal involving 2,000 stolen SAPS guns sold to gangs. Please note, though, that it is SAPS firearms, just throwing it out there. The government argues that tightening controls on legal ownership will prevent proliferation, enhance traceability, and support law enforcement without infringing on legitimate uses. And then below it gives the breakdown of both of the arguments at least. Now, before we get into that, what I just want to tell you is that we all know how lax border control in this country is, and how easy it is to bring in hundreds of thousands of firearms. I mean, there were reports of AK-47s and automatic rifles coming into this country every single day because the border control is so lax. But instead of focusing on that, they would rather want to take firearms away or make it impossible for, law-abiding citizens to receive firearms, knowing that the vast majority of firearms that are entering this country go into the hands of gangs, of drug dealers, of people that want to actually break the law and want to rob and kill people. So they are going about this completely the wrong way. But with that being said, let me provide you with the key reasons on both sides of the argument. So here's a side-by-side comparison, government versus lobby groups on the Firearms Control Amendment Bill of 2025. So the issue: removal or severe restrictions of Section 13 self-defense licenses, now only under exceptional circumstances. So they want to change it to make it almost impossible to get it for self-defense. So the government's argument is self-defense is a responsibility of the state. Yeah, with 84 murders a day. Well done. Private citizens having guns for self-defense increases the total number of guns in circulation, which eventually leak into criminal hands. The state must have a monopoly on the use of force. Yeah, okay. The lobby group side: South Africa has one of the highest violent crime rates in the world, and police response times are routinely measured in hours, not minutes. Self-defense is a fundamental human right. Constitution Section 12, the right to bodily security. Disarming law-abiding citizens while criminals remain heavily armed is irrational and dangerous. Great point. The next issue with the bill: shortening license validity to 5 years, handguns and rifles, and 2 years for sporting firearms. Long validity periods led to millions of licenses expiring without renewal, creating a grey area where people possess firearms legally but are no longer actively monitored. Shorter periods force regular competency and suitability checks. And then the lobby groups argue this is deliberate bureaucratic sabotage. The Central Firearms Registry is already dysfunctional and corrupt. Forcing 2 to 5 year renewals for hundreds of thousands of owners will collapse the system again, turning hundreds of thousands of responsible owners into instant criminals when the state fails to process renewals. Exactly what happened after 2009 to 2015 when they wanted this changed. Biometric registration and real-time digital tracking of every firearm and owner. The government side says enables rapid tracing of crime, guns, and prevents lost theft going unreported. Modernizes a broken paper-based system. The lobby groups argue creates a massive hackable database of every legal gun owner in the country, a treasure trove for criminals, corrupt cops, or a future abusive regime. No comparable country has real-time location tracking of private firearms, privacy violation on an unprecedented scale. The next one is centralized national firearms registry with expanded ministerial powers. Gives the state the tools to properly manage firearms in the public interest and close loopholes exploited by criminals. Centralization equals single point of failure and corruption. History, for example, Colonel Chris Prinsloo selling 2,000 police guns to gangs, shows the state itself is the biggest source of illegal firearms, giving one person, the registrar and minister, arbitrary power to revoke licenses is ripe for political abuse. And we all know how beautifully corrupt the ANC is, right? Drastic limits on ammunition, e.g. 100 to 200 rounds per firearm and number of firearms. The government argues reduces the volume of ammunition that can be stolen or diverted to criminals, and the lobby groups argue hunters, sports shooters, and farmers need thousands of rounds per year for legitimate activities. 100 to 200 rounds is less than one afternoon of training or culling, and I can confirm this because when I go to the shooting range, I can easily go through 100, 200 bullets without, in 2 hours maximum. This effectively bans practical sport shooting and makes self-defense impossible. Most defensive shooting use 5 to 15 rounds. Overall goal: fewer legally owned firearms in private hands. Okay, government argues fewer guns in society equals fewer guns available to criminals. Yeah. Once again, the border argument that I've posed. Cites Australia, the UK, and initial post-2000. Yeah, I mean, look how many knife attacks there are currently in the UK and in other countries. But once again, criminals aren't going to hand in their firearms. It's only going to be the law-abiding citizens. That's the argument from the government. Legal guns are used in 5 to 10% of murders. SAPS own ballistic reports. 80 to 90% of crime guns are illegal, smuggled, stolen, police guns, or from neighboring countries. Exactly. Disarming the tiny law-abiding minority does literally nothing about the millions of illegal guns in criminal hands. Nails it. The last one, cost and implementation. Necessary investment to fix a broken system and save lives in the long term. Will cost taxpayers 5 to 10 billion to set up Gouws' estimate, while delivering zero reduction in violent crimes. The same money could hire 20,000 more visible police officers or fix the detective services, which has a 50 to 60% unsolved murder rate. So in summary, government's core narrative: South Africa has too many guns, legal guns become illegal guns, and the state must regain control. Private citizens cannot be trusted with easy access to firearms. The lobby group's core narrative is the state has catastrophically failed to control illegal firearms and police corruption for 25 years. Instead of fixing that, it is punishing and disarming the only people who obey the law. This bill will not save a single life, but will create hundreds of thousands of new criminals overnight and leave families defenseless. As of the 27th of November 25, these are the exact fault lines driving the more than 230,000 public submissions, the vast majority opposing the bill currently before Parliament. So as you can see, the 2021 amendment bill failed dismally because the overwhelming majority of the public said, we don't trust you as the government to protect us, let us protect ourselves. And now in 2025, they are back and they are doing exactly the same thing. And once again, the vast majority of people are telling them, let us defend ourselves. We do not want to rely on the South African Police Service that once something happens and we call you, if the number works, then it will take 2 to 3 hours for you to get out here. I also don't want to rely on my private security company to arrive. I would rather just use what tools I have at my disposal. It is absolutely astounding that the government thinks that law-abiding citizens are the problem. The fact that they want to not allow law-abiding citizens to get firearms to protect themselves in a country where we have 84 murders a day and a violent sexual crime or assault every few seconds. And yet, like I said earlier, we have one police officer for roughly 800 South African citizens. It's never ever going to work. And of course, the fact that the government thinks that it's only the legal firearm owners as firearms that are causing all the crime, when, like I said, we have a border that isn't protected, where thousands, if not tens of thousands of weapons come in every single month into this country to go to gangs, drug dealers, people that want to break the law. And instead of the state realizing that law-abiding citizens helps the SAPS and help people to consider, or second guess before they want to go and rob a place. Because in the back of their mind, they're going, how many of these individuals are carrying a firearm that can kill me if I'm going to go and rob that place? But the government doesn't think like that, because the government wants the ultimate control, as you can see from this bill. And to be frank, I don't trust the government. I don't trust the government based on the laws that they've implemented in the past. The Expropriation Act, that means that they can just take your property for no compensation. The fact that we have a government that sees no problem with people singing "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer." The fact that our government pays lip service to gender-based violence, but yet every single year it increases. So no thank you. I would like to protect my family. I don't want the government to be responsible for that. Because if the government had to be responsible for that, then, what we see every single day in South Africa, service delivery collapse, infrastructure collapse, corruption going through the roof, that's going to happen to my family. And what that means is my family is going to be killed and it's going to die. And that is not going to happen on my watch. So to conclude this video, I think the case has been made that this bill is absolute insanity and arguably one of the worst bills ever proposed in South Africa. I think that the vast majority of South Africans have said what they wanted to say. I think and I hope and I pray that this bill will never ever again see the light of day, especially after all the lobby groups that have come out and have done amazing work. And shout out to those lobby groups. I will link some of them in the description below so that you can go and subscribe to them and follow them and make sure to support them, because without their hard work, this bill would have probably been law already. So thank you to Gouws, the gun owners of South Africa. Let me see who I can call out here and say thank you to. AfriForum, Paratus, Free Market Foundation, DSA, South Africa Hunters, etc., etc. We all know who you are. Thank you very much and keep up the great work. And now it is on you, the person watching this video, to ensure that the government doesn't ignore all of these concerns that were raised. So if this bill is signed into law, support these organizations that will eventually take it to court so that this can never ever see the light of day, because we cannot trust the government with our own lives. It truly is as simple as that. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button, share this video far and wide, subscribe to this channel. And if you enjoy my content and you enjoy this channel, please consider becoming a member. It'll cost you R39.99 a month. And that is in support of me and this channel, and it'll be greatly appreciated. And that's all I got to say. Till later, cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I went my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I went my massacre. My massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I went my massacre. My massacre.